At 02:47 local time, 4 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers are already slipping toward Iran from different angles. High altitude, lights out, radios silent. No roaring formation. No dramatic flyby. Just 4 flying wings moving like a set of lockpicks toward the most protected targets in the country. Their mission is not to hit a base. It's to shut down Iran's underground ballistic missile cave network. The mountain complexes built to keep launchers, fuel, and warheads alive when everything above ground is burning. The kind of places Iranian commanders point to on TV and say, "These can't be touched." Tonight, that confidence meets reality. Somewhere in western Iran, an officer is sitting behind a desk, looking at a map of tunnel complexes and feeling safe. He should. Those sites are buried, compartmentalized, reinforced, and designed to survive. Even the entrances are built to take punishment. On paper, it's smart engineering. But paper doesn't fight wars. Because missile caves have one problem you can't bury. They have to function. They need entrances. They need service tunnels. They need ventilation. And in the more advanced complexes, they have overhead apertures, roof doors that let missiles fire straight up from inside the mountain without rolling a launcher outside. That design looks unstoppable, but it creates something even more valuable than protection. It creates predictable weak points. And the B-2 exists for predictable weak points. But here's the twist most people miss. The goal isn't always to destroy the mountain. Sometimes the goal is to make the mountain useless, to seal it, to bottle it, to turn a missile city into a concrete storage unit with no door. Think of it like locking a dangerous animal in a cage. You don't need to kill it to remove the threat. You just need to make sure the cage never opens again, especially during the fight. But you only get one clean moment to do that. Because airspace over Iran is degraded, not erased. Mobile radars can still wake up. A battery can still relocate. Fighters can still scramble. And the closer the B-2 gets to its release point, the more one small mistake can turn stealth into risk. Now cut to the people who actually feel that risk. Inside one of those B-2 cockpits, the crew isn't excited. They're methodical. They're working a checklist that has been drilled into muscle memory, because on a night like this, emotion is a liability. Every switch movement is deliberate. Every number matters. Their job is to arrive at one exact point in space, at one exact time, so the weapons fall where the math says they will. And right in the middle of that quiet, the warning arrives. Not a radar spike. Not a missile launch. A simple report that changes the geometry. 2 contacts climbing fast. Iranian fighters. But Iran doesn't need to win an air battle to cause damage. It only needs one lucky moment. Because a B-2 is not designed to dogfight. A B-2 is designed to be unseen. And if something gets close enough, stealth stops being the main story. Heat becomes the story. Angle becomes the story. Timing becomes the story. But Iran's ground radar network doesn't get to play the game it wants. Searching for a Spirit on radar is not like searching for a normal aircraft. It's like trying to find one specific grain of sand on a beach at night, while someone keeps turning your flashlight off. That's why Iran's best hope is not a radar lock from a mountain battery. It's a fighter getting close enough to look for the bomber the old-fashioned way. But the B-2s didn't come alone. That is the part war movies get right and casual commentary gets wrong. The bomber is the headline. The headline is protected by a moving bubble of support, stealth escorts, electronic attack, airborne control, and shooters positioned to kill anything that tries to climb into the bomber's blind spot. So when Iranian jets push toward the corridor, the response is immediate and brutal. The escorts don't need permission. They don't need a debate. They need only one thing, a clean shot. But Iran's pilots don't cooperate. They stay low, they work the terrain, they hide inside clutter, they pop up, probe, and drop back down again. They aren't trying to outshoot the escorts. They're trying to outlast a timetable. And that timetable is unforgiving. Because while the escorts play cat and mouse in the valleys, the bombers keep moving. They cannot afford to look up. They cannot afford to chase. They cannot afford to get distracted because the strike is not one bomb on one entrance. It's a pattern. It's 16 different decisions, landing in the right places. But the most dangerous part of a stealth bomber strike is still ahead. The doors. Bomb bay doors are not just doors. They are exposure. The B-2 is engineered to look like almost nothing on radar. But when the bay opens, the aircraft briefly becomes a different shape, a different signature, a different target. Open doors don't make the bomber obvious. They make it worth searching for. And for a few seconds, that's all a defender needs. So the mission commander does what professionals do when the margin is thin. He slows time, not by reducing speed, by refusing to rush. He holds the sequence until the release window is perfect. He needs the exact spacing. He needs the exact alignment. He needs the weapons to hit multiple aim points spread across the complex, entrances, shafts, support tunnels, and the roof apertures that turn caves into launch sites. 10 seconds. 15. Now, bomb bay doors open. Rotary launcher cycles. Guidance confirms. And heavy weapons fall into the Iranian night. But here is what strikes people the first time they watch real bunker buster damage. It isn't cinematic. There is no huge fireball that makes your brain feel satisfied. There is physics. Concrete buckles, steel folds, rock slumps. A door doesn't explode. It collapses like the building has simply given up. The first entrance caves in. Then the second. Then the third. And suddenly the facility is still there. On paper, on a map, in a mountain, but operationally crippled. Because launchers inside can't roll out. Fuel trucks can't move. Crews can't cycle equipment the way the doctrine requires. And reopening an entrance under surveillance is not construction. It's a suicide mission with shovels. But some complexes were built with a loophole. Roof apertures that allow missiles to fire upward without opening the main entrances at all. So the strike pattern doesn't stop at the front doors. It goes to the roof. It targets the apertures. It targets the bays beneath them. Because if you wreck the launch mechanism inside the mountain, you don't have to destroy the missiles stored deeper in the complex. You just have to trap them. And trapped missiles might as well be gone. But the reason that matters is bigger than one night of explosions. Interceptor stockpiles are not infinite. Every missile you prevent from launching is a missile you don't have to intercept later. And in a regional war, that difference decides how long you can keep defending cities, bases, oil infrastructure, and shipping lanes. That gap is the entire ballgame. Chasing mobile launchers on roads is a marathon. Bottling launchers in caves is a door slam. One drains the force. The other removes the problem. But Iran isn't finished trying. Because while one cave complex is being sealed, another threat wakes up, an air defense node that has been hiding for hours, waiting for something worth the risk. It isn't the most advanced system Iran has ever wanted. It's the best system Iran can afford to expose. And now it commits. Searching, track, fire control behavior. The kind of a mission that feels powerful for a defender, right up until it becomes a beacon. But the war does not reward bravery on a radar console. It rewards silence. Because the second that system radiates continuously, the clock starts on its survival. Electronic attack aircraft don't need to turn it off. They only need to make it uncertain. And uncertainty makes a firing solution collapse into a guess. And guessing at a stealth bomber is how air defense crews become headlines. Then the second step hits. Anti-radiation weapons do what they were built to do. They chase radar energy like a predator. And here's the worst part for the defender: turning the radar off doesn't automatically save it. Once the location is known, the system has an address. The warhead doesn't need your pride, it needs your coordinates. But while that battery fights for its life, the bomber doesn't pause. Because the B-2 strike is not about hero moments. It is about finishing the job. The bombers reach the next release points. Doors open again briefly. More heavy weapons fall. More entrances fold. More service tunnels collapse. More apertures die in the dark. And in the valleys below, Iranian pilots are still hunting for something they can't see. They never find the bombers. They only find the aftermath. But underground facilities create a second problem that ceiling alone can't solve. What was already outside: convoys, TELs, the launchers that managed to roll out before the doors slammed shut. That's when the war pivots from demolition to hunting. And hunting is always ugly. Finding a transporter erector launcher in rugged terrain is like finding one specific food truck in New York City. Except that food truck is carrying a ballistic missile. And it's trying to hit your cities. And it moves every 20 minutes. So the coalition does what modern air power does when time becomes the enemy. It breaks the rules. It crosses lines. It takes the shot before the committee meets. Because if you wait for perfect coordination, the target becomes a rumor that disappears into mountains. But the big takeaway of the night is not the B-2 dropped bombs. The takeaway is what that implies. Iran believed underground missile caves guaranteed endurance. Instead, they guaranteed predictability. Caves need ensayas. Apertures need to open. Equipment needs to move. Ventilation needs to exist. And every one of those necessities is a target. That is why stealth bombers are the nightmare platform for missile caves, not because they can destroy a mountain, but because they can place enough weapons, precisely enough, to make the mountain a prison. But here's the line that should haunt planners in Tehran. This wasn't a one-time stunt. It was a template. A statement that the U.S. Air Force can reach the most protected parts of Iran's missile architecture and make them operationally useless without winning a flashy air battle first. And when you remove that underground advantage, you don't just reduce missile launches. You reduce options. You reduce confidence. You reduce Iran's ability to keep the war going on its terms. People online call the B-2 the Freedom Dorito. It's a funny nickname until you realize what it really means. A flying wing designed to show up anywhere on Earth, at night, with enough precision weapons to rewrite your strategy. That's not a meme. That's doctrine. And tonight, Iran challenged the U.S. Air Force. Big mistake. If you like this breakdown, then we think you'll love our next one on why sealing missile caves can be more decisive than chasing launchers, especially when interceptor stocks start running thin. Drop your answer in the comments. If you were Iran's planners, would you keep investing in underground missile cities, or shift to dispersal, deception, and mobility above ground? Bye for now.